You're watching your company's top salesperson rake in millions, big contracts, major clients, public praise, and lots of pats on the back. They're a rainmaker, they're a closer, the golden goose. But deep down, you know something's off. They don't follow processes. They promise things to your customers that you can't possibly deliver. They burn out your ops team. They're arrogant. They're disconnected. And every time they get awarded on stage, your team, the ones holding it all together, they shrink a little further back into the shadows. You don't want to rock the boat because let's face it, that boat is full of money. But what happens when that money starts costing you your team, your standards, and the trust that your leadership should be delivering? What happens when the price of their success is quiet chaos behind the scenes? Now, before we go any further, if this is already feeling very uncomfortably familiar, hit that subscribe button right now because I teach leaders how to deal with the messiest people and the hardest decisions, like the ones nobody prepares you for. So like this video if you've ever had to choose between doing what's right and what's profitable. Drop a comment below because if you've been in this position, you're not alone and your insight might actually help another leader make the right call. Now, let's go back to the real problem here. Here's the truth. Most leaders, they don't even realize that they have a problem because performance covers up a lot of dysfunction. You think, yeah, they're a handful, but you know what? They close deals. That's what matters. No, that's what costs you. You're not managing numbers, you're shaping a culture. And what you tolerate at the top becomes the standard everywhere else. So let me tell you a story that still sticks with me. I had a friend of mine call me a few years ago carrying a huge weight on his shoulders, and his VP of sales had just closed another incredible year, over $3 million in business. It's his best performer, and on paper, the guy was totally untouchable. But this guy, he found out, was sleeping with his assistant. Now, both of them were married and unfortunately not to each other, and their behavior crossed every ethical line his company stood for. It wasn't just bad judgment, it was a direct violation of their core value, which was integrity. Now, my friend, the CEO, was totally torn between upholding and violating what he 100% believed in. In his heart, I could see his anguish, and I knew that he couldn't keep the VP, and he knew it too. But he also couldn't lose the money that this guy brought in every single year. So the only thing he could see in front of him was the fear that the company would fold if he terminated the VP. And he told me, he says, I can't fire him. I'd lose $3 million in revenue. Then I asked him a question he hadn't considered. Can you survive if you lost 1 million? And he paused for a second. He thought about it. He goes, yeah, he said, I could survive that. Then that's your number. That's the line you're going to hold. You're not firing 3 million. You're absorbing one, and the building the rest back stronger comes along with the process. And I also asked him who, by the way, is your number two performer? Is that person capable to fill in the gap? What about anybody else who is showing signs of being a rapid rising star? Can they take on a higher sales goal and achieve it? So he let the VP go. And that year, not only did he replace the 3 million without him, he beat it. Why? Because the minute he removed the cancer, the company started to heal. He stopped bending and he started leading. So here's where leaders who are experiencing this get caught off guard. Behavior versus performance. Is their high output masking toxic behavior? You can't correct what you excuse. If their attitude, their ethics, and their entitlement is poisoning the team, then performance doesn't matter. And you're not running a casino if you're building a legacy. If they're not aligned with your values, they're not your people. So what's it really costing you to keep them? Are they creating extra work for everyone behind them? Are they lying to close deals and then leaving others to clean up the mess? Are they impossible to coach but still get awarded in front of the whole company? Are your support managers and directors justifying this behavior to the team who face the brunt of all of this? That this company, it's a sales organization and it will always be that way. Then you're not leading, you're bending. And so are they. Every time you ignore or fail to address their behaviors because of your results, you send a message to the entire team, do whatever you want as long as you sell. That, my friends, is weak leadership. And it crushes morale for your support staff and it rewards bad character. It quietly teaches your best people that integrity takes a backseat to dollars. So here's what you're really facing. Your team is watching. Will they see this as a loss of talent or a win for integrity? Your clients may feel the shift. Are they ready with a transition plan so that they'll stay with your brand and not your rep when they go? Are you ready for that? Your systems, can they absorb the gap? Or are you gambling with no bench strength whatsoever? Most leaders don't fail because of big mistakes. They fail because they ignore the small fractures that grow into fault lines. So let me show you what those fractures sound like. Look, we just need to close this quarter. Let's deal with this attitude later. I'm going to talk to them again. I bet you they probably just forgot to loop in the team. I can't afford to lose them right now. That last one, that's the real issue. Can you absorb it? That's the question most leaders never want to ask because the answer is uncomfortable, but it's very necessary. Can you absorb a short-term dip in revenue? Can your cash flow absorb a dip long enough for you to rebuild the right way? Can you afford to miss this quarter's sales target without losing investor confidence? Can you take a few client complaints on the chin while you restructure? Because if the answer is yes, even a partial yes, then the only thing that is standing in your way is fear. And fear is a terrible strategy. So let me flip the question for you. Can you absorb the cost of keeping them? Can you survive another year of your best people biting their tongues while one rep slowly erodes everything that you built? More clients blindsided by promises you'd never authorized, blaming your brand and not the rep. The slow, silent death of trust that no amount of team building can ever resurrect. A support team on the edge of burnout and seething as they fix lies, cover mistakes, and watch you reward the chaos. Now, you may not think this is about money because it's not. It's about culture, it's about credibility, and it's about control. You don't lose a team all at once. You lose them in silence. And every time they see someone getting rewarded for violating what you say you stand for. So, what happens when you fire the rainmaker? You find out if your culture was real or just convenient. Because the second that they're gone, you're going to see who steps up. You'll find out which systems were built around their ego instead of your mission. You'll see creativity returning to the room. And you'll know without a question who was being held down while they were being soaked up in the spotlight. Leadership isn't tested when things are easy. It is tested when you have to choose between what's profitable and principled. So can we agree that just because somebody makes you money doesn't mean that they make you better? You either shape the culture you want or you suffer in the one that you tolerate. Just because somebody drives revenue doesn't mean that they drive the company forward. Every time you protect performance over principle, you teach your team that values are optional. The moment you let one person rewrite the rules, you've lost control of the culture. And silence around bad behavior doesn't create safety, it actually breeds resentment. So what you allow becomes the example. What you excuse becomes the standard. Now, what if every person you think you can't afford to lose is the reason why your company hasn't grown? What if you've been silently tolerating in the name of performance that's slowly been killing your credibility? And where in your leadership have you been making exceptions for performance that you would never allow anywhere else and calling it strategy? So now comes the part that they never put in the playbook. Now the spotlight's on you. What do you do from here? That's what matters the most. Right? So the first one, run the revenue math and do it honestly, right? What can you truly absorb without crippling the business? What concrete fallback plans are in place? Not theories, but executable moves. Can somebody immediately inherit key accounts without losing momentum? Or can marketing step up fast enough to generate pipeline and stop the bleeding? The next is protect the mission. You don't need to attack the person, but you do need to end the behavior with decisive action. Right? You owe your team a clear, confident message and not the details, but the principle, right? Let them know that there was a serious violation of company core values and the responsibility or the response has to actually match the weight of that breach. This isn't gossip. It's leadership that is reinforcing what the company actually stands for. And lastly, you need to rebuild with intention. This is your moment to realign everything around what actually matters, your values. You elevate the quiet professionals who've been doing it right all along. You fortify the systems that were bypassed to serve one ego. You redefine success, not just by the numbers, but by integrity. Who's ready to rise now that the shadow's gone? Can your number two step into the spotlight while you rebuild a sales team that wins the right way? And then step four, almost the last one. This is the last one. Own it like a leader. Don't hide. Don't blame. Don't soften it. You made the call. Stand by it. Stand in it. Be the example. And let me say this directly. If you reward somebody who undercuts your integrity, the price just isn't resentment. It's the slow death of your credibility. So when you remove someone whose success came at the cost of your people, you send a message that will echo louder than any quarterly business review presentation. This company has a spine. This company is led by somebody with standards. This company is bigger than the one performer. And the people who stayed, they'll trust you more than ever. Say that thing. Fire the rep if you must, but don't fire your values trying to keep them. Now, I make these videos because I know what it's like to lead when everything's on the line. When you're alone in your decision making, when the team's watching but no one's saying anything, when the pressure to protect results is pulling you away from what you know is right. I spent over 30 years helping leaders navigate the messiest people problems, and I'm here to make sure that you don't have to figure it out alone. So like this video if you've ever faced a decision that tested your standards and you had to choose between what was comfortable and what was right. Follow this channel for more real, raw, and practical tools to lead through the chaos, like the kind of leadership that isn't taught in textbooks, but forged through tough conversations and high-stake moments. So go to heybrendaHotline.com and take my free Impact Scripts course. It's packed with the exact words that you need to handle difficult employees, no gimmicks, no fluff, just phrases that cut through the drama and help you lead with clarity, confidence, and conviction. Because leadership isn't about protecting what's profitable. It's about what is unshakable. A team that trusts you, a culture that reflects your values, and a business that doesn't depend on the wrong person to survive. So don't lead around the problem, lead through it. You got what it takes. So let's go.